Yeah, my name is Ronald Thompson. Everybody call me Ron. From Los Angeles, California, Crenshaw and Slauson area.
And you got deep family roots in Texas.
Yeah.
How tied in are you to your Texas history?
I'm pretty tied in. I'm still have aunties, uncles, cousins, my grandmother, my grandfather's side of the family. He's still out there. I'm in contact with all of them.
And you're a junior.
Yeah.
Where was your dad born?
My dad was born in Texas in Kirbyville, Newton County.
Okay. And also, his mom, your grandma, actually currently lives there today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's speak a little bit about her and who she is.
My grandmother is Violet Barton, Violet Samuel. That's my father's mother. She has 5 kids. 2 of them was born in Texas, and the other 3 was born in Los Angeles. My father is Ronnie Joe. You have my uncle Donald Ray. You have my uncle Reggie. You have my uncle Raymond, and you have my uncle Derod.
And did you just list them in order of age?
Order of age.
Oldest to youngest?
Yeah.
So your dad is the oldest?
Yeah.
Okay. And we recently lost your dad a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I lost my dad in March 31st, 2019.
And you had just got home, if I'm doing the math right?
January 7th, 2019.
So let's just talk a little bit about that, man. You did a very long stretch, which I'm sure is mentally taxing. Come home to your family, and then just a couple months later, you lose your dad. Let's take me back through that.
Well, I'm gonna take it a little bit further. My mother died on my birthday, 2018, before I went to the board. I went to the board 6 days after my mother passed, 6 days after my birthday, and I got found suitable. I come home, my dad had a stroke before, and he had a little liver disease too. My dad was alcoholic, so by me coming home, my dad was sick already. So, and then once my mother passed, it was like, I think he kind of gave up, man, because him and my mother was like 2 peas in a pod right there. So once she left, it was like, I guess he was ready. So I was able to spend 90 days. I was out 90 days. I was able to spend time with him till he passed.
So you got out, he was already full-scale sick.
He was sick.
So how long were you, so your parents stayed together all the way up until the end there?
But then it'll be, if they was together now, it'll be 52 years that they'll be married.
And did you ever get to talk to your parents about your incarceration and any impact it had on them?
Yeah. My mother explained how my actions caused a reaction to them. Like, it was more or less like, you're not doing this by yourself. We're doing this with you, so you have your decisions that you're making now affects us. So I think me and my mother had this talk. I was in the hole in 99. I was in the hole in 99, and my mother came to visit me, my dad, my oldest brother, and she just basically said me. She just basically told me, everything you're doing here affects us. We're the ones out here sending you packages. We're the ones sending you money. We're the ones making sure everything's good with you. So at least she challenged me to basically change. So I sat in the bucket for about 6 months. And I just thought about it. I was like, yeah, I have to take that in consideration because they are there for me. They're doing everything they can to try to get me out of jail. So my change started in the hole.
In 99?
99.
Now, your father being the oldest, he must have had the most historical stories on your Uncle Raymond. And now that he's not with us, were you able to get information from him about the family before you lost him?
Yeah, he gave us some information, but I was around Raymond. But it's not like I didn't know him. I was around Raymond as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I remember some things being at my grandmother's house. I slept in the same bed with Raymond and Derod. You know what I'm saying? When they was living on 76. So me and my cousin Reggie, we were probably the main two that really probably been around Raymond as kids. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, my dad said a lot of stuff about him. My dad even fought Raymond before. They fought. They fought in the backyard. They got down, but at the end of the day, it was just, you know, they brothers. Everybody was there for one another. I mean, it don't matter what happened. If one get into something, they all gonna be there for each other. So that's just the dynamics of that whole family.
And do you remember your OG homeboy, Pretty Boy, being Raymond Washington's neighbor in the early 70s, maybe mid 70s?
I was a kid. Yeah, Pretty Boy was my celly in the pen. So when we was talking, and he said something about Raymond, and I'm like, man, you wouldn't believe that. That's my uncle, man. He said, you lying. I said, that's my uncle. That's my uncle, man. So he said, Derod is your uncle? I said, yeah, Derod my uncle, man. That's my uncle, my blood uncle, man. So he said that his sister used to braid Derod's hair back in them days and stuff. So I'm pretty, yeah. And Derod remember him too, so you know.
Well, I did an interview with Pretty Boy, and he took me. We went on the block before they tore down the house, and now you know it's like a duplex or something there. And Pretty Boy showed me where he used to live. Literally, the next house east of that house on 76. But this might have been 72, 73, so you was real young.
I was a baby. I was 72. I was 1 year old.
How many years does Pretty Boy have on you?
I'll be 52 next week, so Pretty Boy damn near 60, if he ain't 60. So he got about 8.
Yeah, so that at some point you guys probably crossed paths when you was a kid and didn't know it.
Probably didn't know it.
Yeah.
Cause my grandmother moved, I want to say in 78. She moved off 76 and moved back to Texas. And she lived next door to my great grandmother, which is we call Mama Ola, which is her mother. She moved like not too far, not even less than a mile away from her. I done been in her house too. I had the pleasure to meet my great grandmother as a baby, because my great grandmother passed in '81.
Yes, you're talking about Ola.
Yeah, Ola Samuel.
Or Ola. Her maiden name would be Spikes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Violet leaves 76th Street in 78?
I think it was 78.
So she got to spend 3 years with her mother, your great-grandmother, Ola. And you remember meeting Ola?
Yeah. I remember back in the day when we was kids, we used to drive to Texas. We used to caravan, my father, Donald Ray, and Reggie. We would drive down there with our parents, all of us. We just rolled down there and we would stay at either my grandmother's house or we were spending at Mama Ola's house. This was like 77, 76.
Well, she lived
78.
She lived to be 85 years old. So you was witnessing a pretty elderly lady at the time.
I got pictures of when we was at her house. She had a big old garden, vegetarian garden in her back. My uncle, what's my uncle? JC, my uncle JC, which is her son, used to stay there with her. And we used to ride on the horses and stuff. I mean, it was pretty dope.
J.C. Samuel, born 1917, died in 1991.
That's my uncle.
You remember him?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is this Samuel family in Texas is probably one of the largest families in this town, in this county. When I look through the data, it's Samuel after Samuel after Samuel, and they're all tied into each other.
I mean, my great grandmother had, man, she had what, 10 kids, I think? Was it 10?
Ola?
Older, yeah. And I think it was my grandmother. It was Nora. It was Aunt Doshi. It was Aunt Aunt Lee. It was Aunt Lonnie. It was Uncle Jr. It was Uncle JC. It was Hubbard Jr. Who else?
I think you're missing one.
Nora Hill? Is it Nora?
Carlene.
Carlene?
Yeah, Carlene. You got Carlene, Hubley Jr.
Mm-hmm.
You said Lee, right?
Aunt Lee?
But her name was Levada.
Yeah.
Lonnie Mae,
Mm-hmm.
Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Nora Lee,
Mm-hmm.
Doshia,
Dosha, yeah.
Dosha, who you mentioned. Lavella,
Yeah, that's Aunt Bump
and then JC.
and JC, yeah.
That's a huge family.
Yeah. And by one person.
One woman.
One woman and one dude made all them babies.
But you know what? It was more like that back then.
Yeah.
And JC would have been the firstborn, 1917. He was the oldest of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? So you knew all 10 of them, or met all 10 of them at some point?
I knew all of them lived in L.A.
Is that right?
Yeah. All of them moved to L.A. All of them. And they lived on the east side except my auntie Nora Hill. That's my godmother. And Boo was my godmother. So, yeah, she stayed on like Inglewood. She had a little place in Inglewood. But all of them stayed in L.A. on the east side.
Do you know who of this family was the first one to say, I'm going to Los Angeles?
I don't know who was the first, but I know all of them live out there. And then that's what made my great-grandmother, I guess, when she got a little older, she ended up, they bringing her to L.A. because she eventually died in L.A. And they buried her back in Texas, though.
So you still have three uncles that are with us, Donald, Reggie, and Gerard.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was it like having this family? Must have been really interesting to have these, because they're all boys. Your dad amongst one of them. What were these 5 guys like?
It was tight. All of them was tight. All of them, it was tight. Even Raymond, when Raymond was alive, it was all the brothers was tight. I mean, man, it was tight. But my Uncle Donald Ray, that's my partner. Him and Reggie was my partners. Gerard was my partner. That was more like my big bro than he was my uncle, you know what I'm saying?
He's the youngest, right?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he taught me how to fight. You know, we used to go back born body and stuff. We went to soccer, I sock him back. But what y'all don't know is my father and them has other siblings on my grandfather's side. My Uncle Patrick, which is a year older than me. My aunties Gwen, my aunties Carol, my auntie Renee. And I got another uncle named Leslie I think I just met, and another uncle named Howard. So my grandfather got kids. He got kids on this side too.
Now, with this extensive family, I'm assuming there was so much love at home and so much love everywhere. What do you think drew you towards the street life?
I ain't gonna say, I don't, you know what? I'm just gonna say this. I just feel like, you know, my mother had 4 other siblings in the house, and she needed their attention is, you know, because they're young. I'm like one of the oldest in the house, so I just felt like I wasn't getting the attention that I thought I deserved, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Getting in trouble, this and that, you know what I'm saying? When I get the attention, I'm getting punished or I'm getting, but all of it is on me and my decision making when I'm in hindsight, you know what I'm saying? But I usually just feel like I'm not getting that attention, like, okay, they don't care, I'm finna just go do this. Or I'm gonna do that. But my mother was real strict, you know what I'm saying? So she used to try to keep me kind of close-knit in the house. And as I was getting older, I just felt like I just wanted to go out and venture out, man. You know what I'm saying? And the people I hung out with is who I hung out with, they was gang members too. They eventually started embracing the neighborhood and all that. So, you know, and I think what really did it was, you know, growing up, you know how it is when someone asks you where you from, or where you from, this and that, and you say, I don't bang, and where you live at? Well, I live over here. Oh, you from such and such, and they'll try to rush you. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that happened to me before. And I was just like, well, shit, man. I'm finna just fuck around and build from over here, man. Ain't nobody finna just, I'm not finna keep letting these dudes feel like they can do this and do that because of where I live. You know what I'm saying? And the homies was like, come on, you know, you might as well be from over here and this and that. So me, my two of my best friends, we embraced the hood like that, you know what I'm saying? We just embraced the hood and it was cool.
Do you think that, you mentioned your father was alcoholic, do you think that played a role in your upbringing, whether he was hands-on enough or lacking somewhere as a father?
Nah, my dad was cool. He drank, but my dad was a good dad. My dad made sure the bills was paid. We had a roof over our head every day. He go to work every day till he retired. You know what I'm saying? My father did everything he did for that household, just like my mother did. So, nah, I mean, shit, my father put hands on me a few times, man. You know, just because of my actions. He didn't want me in the streets. He didn't want me because of how Raymond was and what happened to Raymond. He didn't want that for me. He expressed that a couple of times to me, but I was so far in it already. And I mean, it was just like, it is what it is, man. You know, I'm young. I feel like I'm not turning my back on that now. You know what I'm saying? But my mother always been like scared for me. My mother I used to be in the hood. My mother would come on the block and come get me in front of my homies, get in the car. I was like, Mama, what are you doing? Get in the car. I get in the car and the homies used to be laughing and stuff. I get in the car, but I'll come right back out the next day, get on my bike and go right back out. But I mean, yeah, my dad, I think his drinking went spiral when Raymond got killed.
Did your dad take you to the funeral in 1979?
No, he wouldn't let us go. He didn't let none of us go, man. He just knew it was gonna be a lot of gang members. We wasn't able to go, so. I know the funeral was on Vermont at that little mortuary. I know his body was at Houston's mortuary. I don't know where the actual funeral was, but no, I didn't let us go.
Did he ever talk about what happened to your uncle?
When he died, when Raymond got killed, matter of fact, my cousin Eric called. He's from East Coast. 6 dude, his name's Scooby Dog. He died. He called my dad, and once my dad found out, they rushed straight to the hospital. Found out he died or whatever. My dad came in there, he called us all in the room, and he told us your Uncle Raymond died. He was affected though. He was very hurt. That was his little brother.
So this happened on San Pedro?
In 64 for us, yeah.
And y'all were living on the west side at the time?
We was living on 58th, yup.
And do you remember what it was like when your father just found out his little bro just got killed?
He was emotional. He was very hurt. My daddy was hurt. He was hurt. Just like when Derard got shot back in the day. When Derard got shot, I went with him to the hospital. He was very emotional. I mean, he's very family orientated. My dad always been like that, especially for his brothers. He's the big brother, so he was real protective of his brothers, like he is about his kids. So he was hurt.
Do you know why it seems as if Raymond was loved by so many people, but then when that happened in '79, it seems like nobody did anything about it?
I mean, I don't know.
Even the police didn't even. The streets didn't do anything, the police didn't do anything.
No, they didn't do nothing. I can't really, I don't know. I just know that he had a lot of love and respect for his homies. I mean, the ones that he grew up around, the ones that I guess he trained or raised, informed them. I didn't have an understanding of all this at the time, you know what I'm saying? I didn't really have no real understanding about why it happened, the effect that it took on people. I didn't understand that. I just knew it affected my family. That's all that I knew, that it affected my whole family. But as a whole, as a whole, with people outside our family, I didn't understand that at the time. But I understand it now. I know a lot of people was affected. I know a lot of people was upset about it. I knew people wanted probably revenge. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I just know that you have a guy, a teenager, who come together and formed something so big, man. And he didn't even think it was gonna probably be like that. You know what I'm saying? And it was for his community. It wasn't like he was doing something to destroy the community. I think he was doing it to help his community, to protect his community from racism and everything else. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man.
No, of the 5 brothers, including your dad, other than Raymond, was anyone else attached to a street organization?
Well, Derard probably be the closest one that I know, Derard, because he was following Raymond. But my dad was in the military. Donald Ray was in the military. Donald Ray was in Vietnam. You know what I'm saying? My dad, all of them grew up around in that whole neighborhood. Reggie too. All of them, the name Crip came from my Uncle Reggie when he was messed up. His leg was messed. He used to walk with a cane. They used to call that dude Crip. And he'll tell you that too. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Even Derard went to the military.
He went to the military, but yeah, when Raymond got killed, he was in the military. Derard used to come stay with us when he come home from Germany and all that. He used to stay with me. He used to stay with my dad.
So that's the truth. 3 of the brothers actually served in the armed forces.
My dad was in the Marines, Donald Ray, and Derard was in the Army. Reggie never went to the service.
So, doing all that time in prison, you must have heard so many stories, rumors, theories on what happened to Raymond. I don't want you to tell any of them, but you must have learned something, right? People was always like, hey, Ron, this is what I know, or this is what I heard.
Oh, they never told me that. Nobody never really talked to me about who killed Raymond, because a lot of people didn't know that was my uncle in prison. Like my last few years in prison is when people knew, because I was just like, y'all probably wouldn't even believe me. I'll tell you that's my uncle. And he was like, hell no. Like Ronnie Bam. Ronnie Bam was one of them. He didn't believe me. I told him that's my uncle, bro. I mean, that's what it is. But no, nobody really talked to me about what happened or how. I heard how it happened. My dad explained what he heard. That they called him to the car, he got shot. They don't, like, who did it? I don't know.
So if I do my math correct, I'm gonna guess about maybe 6 years after Raymond's death, you're deciding you're gonna join something.
Well, about, yeah.
How many years? How
Well,
close
about
was it?
6, 7 years, yeah, 6.
And at that point, did you ever think about, this could happen to me? I have firsthand knowledge of it because my family is heavily tied into this. But you know what? I'm gonna jump into this anyways.
I wasn't even tripping on that. When I got in it, I wasn't even thinking about none of that. I wasn't even when I came around and started doing what I was doing, I wasn't even banking it on Raymond, on the image of this as being my uncle. It was about me and my decisions and what I wanted to do. I wasn't tripping on that. I never told my homeboys who my uncles was. I never told them. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that came out through Kev Mac, really. Kev Mac interviewed my dad and about Raymond, and they had a little magazine about Raymond out. And they found out, he said, man, you never told me Raymond was your uncle, man. I said, shit, there wasn't nothing to really say. That's my uncle, man. You know, Raymond got a little son right now, little Raymond. He a gang, he's an ex-gang member, 111. And we tight. That's my cousin. We tight. So me gangbanging, with me deciding to jump into the streets, really was for my own little identity. It had nothing to do with Raymond or nothing nobody else.
So let's go to your early years. Where were you living when you went to elementary school?
I used to live on 10th Avenue.
Or you lived on the dime?
Yeah, I lived on 10th Avenue. I went to Hyde Park Elementary.
So all your upbringing is in that section?
My upbringing is in the hood, yeah.
Okay.
I grew up, me and my little sister lived on 10th Avenue until, I want to say 76. I went to Hyde Park. I went to the preschool across the street from Hyde Park. Went to school with some reputable dudes from the neighborhood.
Future
Yeah,
reputables.
yeah.
Let's go through that. Who'd you go to elementary with?
My boy Sam. He was one of the ones that I really went to school with. He was claiming the hood back then too, at Hyde Park. He was a little badass. I went to school with a few dudes there. You know, I was from the preschool to the second grade, went there, then I ended up going to 54th Street School, which is up the hill. When we moved to where I live at, where we live, we ended up going to 54th, and that's when I went to school with like my homie PJ, I think Peanut, Lil Looney, Baby Waco, Lil Lowdown. There's a gang of us went there. Wino, Baby Wino. Who else went there, man? A lot of us went there, man. 54th was a lot of us.
Now, what grades was 54th?
From kindergarten to 6th.
And most of those guys you just mentioned were not claiming it in
Yeah,
the sixth
not
grade.
some
Some
of
of
them,
them were
yeah,
already.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So that must have had an early influence on you.
Yeah.
At some point, you was probably saying, "This is probably what I'm going to be."
And I mean, I wasn't thinking about it because I was trying to do something else like sports and stuff. But I was still hanging with my friends in the neighborhood. We still hung out after school, go play arcades. We'd go to the tunnel down there. By the school, we used to be in the tunnel. We just did a lot of stuff. I think it didn't happen until my junior high years. Like going into junior high, into high school, is when I was getting myself in the lifestyle.
And what junior high are we talking about?
I went to Overhill, and I went to Westchester. I went to Crenshaw.
And the reason why you went to Orville Wright and not
Where I live.
Horace Mann is because you live further west.
Yeah, yes.
Talk about what part of the section you was living in at this time.
I live in the back, which we call the Overhills now. That part of the back and the Overhills.
Okay. And when did that part of the town get the name the back?
The back been the back.
It's been the back. Because I remember around, I'm going to say 87, 88, I used to start seeing Overhill.
That's when
and I used to
Overhill.
think, was this some new shit?
That's when Overhills. When my homie Lil Looney came home. My homie Lil Looney, Lil PJ, a few of my homies. They put the Overhill twist on it, like, we the Overhills.
So was that around 87 or 88?
It was about 87, 88.
Would you say around that 7-Eleven was
all that.
Kind of the mecca?
All that.
Yeah.
Overhill, right by where the witch stand was, which is called Simply Wholesome's now. That's Overhill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to see a bunch of OH hit-ups
Yeah.
along that and was wondering what that was, but later find out it's just part of the 60s.
It's part of the hood.
Yeah.
Now, they try to say it's all the way to the Fox Hill Mall, but I don't consider all that the neighborhood, but that's Ladera Heights. But you got some homies that live in Ladera Heights. You got some homies that live in Windsor Hill.
Well, I have debates with some 6-0s. Some of them say our hood is all of that, even past La Brea, and I'm like,
well,
that's
a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot, but if that's what they say, I just feel like when you say the Overhill, then there wouldn't be no Overhills then. You know what I'm saying? It'll just be whatever, but they could say that. I could probably go for it now because you got a lot of we don't hang out over there, so how can that be the hood? But we got people that live over there.
Well, there's a liquor store on La Brea and like 64th. What's the name of that liquor store?
But we don't go, we don't go to that store, bro.
Well, there's been a little bit of skirmishes from time to time.
That's the, I want to say over there, you might catch a couple of CPFs over there. You might catch some NHPs over there. But you don't really, back in the day, like in the late 80s, we probably go there. We probably been in there a few times, but that's not a store we go to. Nah.
So would you say the back is everything past West Boulevard, west of West Boulevard?
The back is anything past Crenshaw.
Past Crenshaw. Okay, so you're saying Bryanhurst would be considered the back? Okay.
Victoria, West Boulevard, and anything from West Boulevard on back, they consider that Overhills, I guess, yeah.
Okay. So.
But all that's back, originally, all that is back hood, period. That's, you know.
And everything from Crenshaw to Western is considered the front?
No, anything from Crenshaw on down, you got the avenues, you know, like the 10th Ave, AGs, and then anything from Van Ness to Western is the front.
Okay. So, how did you start to, in junior high school, how did you and the other, I'm assuming you were around other Overhills, or at that time, other guys from the back at Orville Junior High?
From 60s period, because it had some that wasn't from the back that was from the Avs that went to Overright. So I did, you know, I knew them. They knew me. We grew up in that area, so they knew me as a youngster. So, you know, I looked up to a lot of them dudes. I really did. I did. I looked up to a lot of them dudes. A lot of them still my big bros. You know what I'm saying? So, because I learned a lot from them, not just being a gang member, you know, because a lot of them dudes are smart. Go to school, get good grades. We weren't one of them dudes that was just going to school and not doing nothing with our education, because I know a couple of homies that was straight A students damn near. You know what I'm saying? So growing up, I remember going to school and some of the homies would make us go to school. Like, if we catch you out here ditching, we gonna get on you type stuff. So a lot of our homies took education serious. I got a lot of homies who had scholarships. So had scholarships in football, basketball, baseball. Daryl Strawberry grew up in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you got a lot of dudes that had talent and it was educated.
Okay, so what's the tipping point? Well, let me ask you about this, because when you're in junior high school, this crack cocaine epidemic is hitting LA hard, and a lot of people in that time period at your age are looking at, this is a quick way for me to go make a couple $100s, go flip, whatever, go hustle. Did you ever veer into that part of the hood too?
I sold drugs. I sold drugs. I remember I really started. Me and my dad had fell out. Something had happened in the house. Remember, my mother was arguing or whatever. And I kind of got in the middle of it. And I pushed him. He looked at me, I looked at him. I shot out the back door. He come chasing me. I hit the back gate. Go down Sloss, and he in his van chasing me down, but I was hitting gates, so he couldn't catch me. But I had ran away from home, so that's when I started really venturing, getting my hand all the way into selling drugs. But I sold drugs.
And at this time, what was your mom and dad, were they realizing that you're getting closer and closer into the streets?
Yeah.
And what was their reaction to you?
My mother was scared. She was scared for me. My dad, he was just like, boy, you know what you're doing. I mean, I ain't gonna keep getting on you, because you know what you're doing, man. And you know when the shit hit the fan, what you gonna do? Basically, you know, my dad didn't want nothing. My dad wanted nothing but the best for me, man. I just made these decisions. I just made them decisions, man. It was everything is based on a choice. And I made the choice to hang out and do what I did, man. My mother was scared for me, and my mother was like, she did everything she could. But because where I was at that time, I wasn't really trying to hear that.
No,
I respect my mother. I never brought this stuff home to my mother. That's one thing I never did, was bring my gang back. I never brought at least I thought I wasn't bringing nothing home to my mother or to my family like that, because I have little brothers and sisters that I was very overprotective of too. I wouldn't even let my sister come down there and come to the neighborhood, or none of that. So my little brother was only like 10. Not even, when I left the streets, he was 10. And my oldest brother's a year older than me. He was already in the streets, but he was from the east side. So.
Now, when you got between your mom and your dad and created the conflict with your dad, how old were you, and how big were you physically compared to your dad?
I was 17, and my dad was tall. He was a big dude. You know, he was a cement finisher, so he was solid. I was only like maybe 6 feet, like 5'10", 6 feet tall at the time. At 185, maybe 200 pounds. So he was a solid 215 then.
So it was no taking your dad at that time?
I'm not taking him, man. My pa's strong and he could fight, man. That dude could fight. He done touched me up a couple times in that room, so I know he hit hard.
Yeah. Some of us are fortunate to grow bigger than our dads at a young age, but some of us never get bigger than our dads, you know. I
looked up to my dad, man. I really looked up to my dad, and my dad was like a hero. He was like my hero, man, because you don't find too many fathers out here that's still with their wife for this long and making sure that food is on the table, you know, going to work every day, despite of his addiction of alcohol, that he's still taking his butt to work. He's still working hard every day. He's still, if we out of line, he chastises us when we out of line, because when he's in the house and he look at you crazy, you better shut up. And that's just what it is. And he had that effect on us like that, like, come on, man. But he loved us. Just like my mama. My mother's the same way.
Now, you mentioned your siblings briefly. You were overprotective of them. You had just one older brother that was in the streets, and the others were not?
No, well, eventually my little brother. But my sisters, no. My little sister almost ventured out in the neighborhood, but luckily my little sister caught her in time. You know what I'm saying? And they're successful today.
So your little brother became from 60s too?
And my little brother ended up being from the neighborhood, but he's a married man with kids now, and he living his life, taking care of his kids. You know, he's doing what he do. He's been in trouble before. My brother, he's seen the light. You know what I'm saying? He's cool.
So he dipped in and dipped out?
Yeah, only because I went to prison. If I was out here, I don't think he would have did it. But because I was in jail, I think my brother was more or less like trying to follow my footsteps. That's all.
So to a certain degree, your stretch saved him a little bit, if that's what inspired him to come back?
Well, no, because he fell in while I was in jail. I think him going to jail itself kind of made him see some understanding that he needed, and him having kids. Because he got 3 kids, he got 4 kids, and he's married, so.
And then your brother that was from the east side, how did his life fare?
He ended up dying. He died last year or the year before. Yeah, he ended up passing away. But we was tight. Me and my brother was tight. He got out the streets early though. He was in the streets when he was over there, but he got out of it kind of early. He went to Job Corps. We both went to Job Corps. He stayed. I went to jail. I went to jail out there and got kicked out and came on back. He opted to stay and he got an education. He ended up having kids. Then he moved back out here to Vegas, I guess. And when I came home, I had a good year, about a 2-year run with my brother, 3-year run with my brother, and he passed away.
Okay, so by the time you're full-fledged in the hood, there's all these beefs going on. The A-Tray thing is still going on, but it's not as heavy. I know from 79 to 83, 84 was pretty heavy, but it's still continuing through the 80s. And then the whole neighborhood gangster thing is full scale. You got the Mansfields, the PBGs, the schoolyards. How are you handling life as a 6-0 with all these threats?
I wasn't thinking about it. I went to school in Venice. I went to the continuation out there when we had a little thing with the show line, but that lasted a couple months. But I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't even tripping on all these little beefs we was having because when I came into it, I knew what it was. So I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't even tripping on that, man.
So nothing really surprised you once you was full-fledged in it because you already had an understanding of it.
I had an understanding of what it was, and me growing up in the neighborhood, I already knew who the 60s was beefing with and everything else anyway. So that's just something that come with the territory. So I wasn't worried about that.
When you first was full-fledged, what was the main conflict? Was it the Bloods over there in Inglewood? Or was it the A-Trays, or was it the Mansfields and the PBGs? During your era, what was like, who hated 6-0 the most?
In my era, A-Trays, Hoovers, Inglewood families, CPFs, NHPs, Black Pea Stones. I can keep going. The 20s. I can keep going. I mean, in the schoolyards, it wasn't really no beef with them, but to me, it wasn't, but.
Yeah, it was a distant beef.
PBGs, we was beefing. Yeah, they killed one of the big homies, so it was a beef there, but it wasn't nothing that we was going back and forth. They was coming over there doing anything to us or nothing like that. But now if we run into some or something like that, then that's different. But nah, I mean, it's the same old stuff from the beginning, the A-Trays, the Hoovers, Inglewood families, the three predominant ones. A-Tray, Hoovers, Inglewood families, CPFs.
Now, when you were coming up during the junior high school days, did you ever have to deal with juvenile hall or camp?
I went to juvenile hall, but no, I can't. I went straight to prison, 18 years old.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about that. What can you tell me about what you did to get arrested, and then what was your dad and mom's immediate reaction to that?
Well, I was arrested for murder and 2 attempted murders. It's crazy because when I was in the county jail, we had just got there. I was on the roof, and I seen my Uncle Melvin, which is my mother's one of her oldest brothers, and he seen me, and he was like, "Little Ronnie, what you doing in here?" I said, "Man, they got me for a murder, man." And he was like, "Call your mama." I said, "Hell no, you call her. I ain't calling her, you call her." So he ended up calling my mama, and my mother was up here 2 days later. My dad was out of town in Texas. He had went to Texas. So my mother came to see me like 2 days later. She was like, "Boy, don't you say nothing. Keep your mouth shut. I'm gonna get you a lawyer. Don't you talk to nobody." I said, "Okay. Don't talk through these phones. Don't do nothing." Because, my mother was in the Watts riot too, so she don't like talking through them phones and stuff. So she kind of laced my boots. And, but seeing her when I was going in and out them courtrooms, it was real stressful for her. It was real stressful for her.
So, what year is this when you're in the county jail?
90.
90. So, Lil Fee was in there?
No.
Oh no, he was already...
He was gone.
He was gone. He left in 88 or something, 87.
Yeah. I was in the module. I went to the Crip module.
Was that 48?
They shoved 48 down and opened 27. Yeah. 27 and 21, 23.
And what sets were in 27?
Coasters, all the O's, Raymond's, A7 Gangsters, PJ Watts, about it.
So I think I was interviewing Cartoon from Avalon. He talked about them shutting down 48 and everyone going to 27. Was he in there around the same time?
I don't remember Cartoon, but it was some Avalons in there because I was on the road with from Fire Trey too. Killer D. Killer D was on the road with me. His Crimey. Warlock was on the road with me. Dude named Chili from 11-6 Avalon. There was a few Avalons on the road with us though, but Cartoon wasn't there with me. I think Cartoon was in the pen. I met Cartoon in Lancaster. He came from Pelican Bay.
The Lancaster level 4 yard?
Yeah, he came from Pelican Bay. Him and a few of my homies came down when we opened up the pen because I came from Folsom.
So it was just 97?
No, this was 93.
93, okay.
Yeah. So I met Cartoon in like 93, 94 when he came down.
So when your dad came back from Texas, he found out that his son is in the county jail. Did you get to have a conversation with him? And what was that like?
I mean, we talked, but we didn't talk about my crime. But we talked. He was just like, I told you. What'd I tell you? That's just what he said. What'd I tell you? Because prior to that, I had just got out for a dope case. I had went to jail for possession of sale. On Bryanhurst that you was talking about, went to jail for possession. And I happened to have been on 2020 on that time because they was putting cameras on everybody at the time. So I went to jail, I bailed out, and I stayed out 45 days and caught this case.
So you still had that other case then? Okay. What was Bryanhurst like as a block to hustle on back then? Because it was a very busy street back in the day. Probably it still is actually.
Yeah, it's cool. Bryanhurst was a cool street. We all hung out on the hearse. We just chilled, man. I mean, you got little spots where you go, you do your thing, make your money. But that's when Bryanhurst was just where everybody hung out from all. I mean, you can be from all sides, man. You come on, hang on Bryanhurst. That's just what it was, man. It was a lot of money over there too.
And I think Bryanhurst is such an active block because there's so many apartment buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of 2-story, 3-story maybe.
You got more houses than you got houses, more apartments than you have houses on Bryanhurst. On the 60th side, going towards 67. But if you go on the other side of Bryanhurst, like Slauson or 59th and all that, it's houses, residential. It's residential all the way across Slauson to 54th is residential, houses.
Yeah, in fact, what's crazy is I used to own a house on Bryanhurst and 48th, which is View Park. View Park. Beautiful house, yes. Yeah. But you just cross over a few blocks and now you're in all these apartments.
Yeah.
So the police must have been real busy on that block. How did you get caught? Because it seems like there's so many places to hide, to duck, to run.
Well, for the possession, we was hanging out, me and my big homie, Big Looney, and another homie. We were just hanging out on the hearse, and I had 2 pill bottles full of dope in my hand, and we seen this particular known police officer named J.J. Mays. He pulled up on us. I ran to the back, threw the dope over the fence. And I come back out like a dumbass. I should have just kept going, but I come back out. So they handcuff us. And then he went right where I left, over the gate and found the dope. And that's when they put the cameras on us. They put all the cameras on us and they put all the dope on us. This is this, this is this, this is this. And the last thing Mays said was, you can't run from J.J. Mays. And the only thing I said is, I know, man. I said, I know, man. But I went to jail. My other homie went to jail when he had warrants, but I had the case. And I bailed out.
So you didn't even get to go to court on that case?
I bailed out from the glass house. I didn't even go to court yet. I went to court when I bailed out. I stayed out 45 days. I was able to go to a couple of arraignments. I was able to, they kept my bail, they let me out, but then I caught this case.
Okay, so what is the going to court process like? This is probably kind of all new to you.
It is.
You're in the adult system, you're going to adult court. What is all that like for you?
Man, I'm going there, I see lights on, see a lot of people in there just like either getting ready to go to court or I don't know. It was just something new. It's like I don't hear nothing. I just can't believe I'm in jail for what I'm in jail for. The only thing I hear is, how do you plead? Not guilty. Everything else, I don't hear nothing, man. I'm just like, damn.
Now, were you able to tap in with some homies in the module about like legal shit? Like older homies that giving you advice, do this, do that? Did any of that help out?
A little bit. a little bit, but nah, because hell nah. I mean, it helped out. I think if I knew what I knew then, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I was blinded to the law. I don't know nothing about no doggone case. I mean, my homies was telling me to do this, do that, but I didn't understand it. I'm an 18-year-old kid in jail, man. Just like, damn. And I'm gangbanging. I'm in here going to court, fighting people, and going, you know, or whatever it's gonna be. So I wasn't tripping, but I didn't want to do the rest of my life in prison. But at the end of the day, if I had to, I had to stay down in there, man. I couldn't. Nah. So I was just naive, man. I was just a naive cat that didn't really know too much. And the little bit I know didn't even help me.
Did you feel like they had strong evidence, weak evidence, or what was it looking like for you?
I just feel like people came to court. People came to court. People came to court, man. And me and my couple.
Or street dudes?
A couple of street dudes.
Did that shock you?
Not really. Not really. I mean, it was just like, okay, if I see you, I'm gonna get you. But that's just how my mindset was. But at the end of the day, me and my co-defendant did everything we could to try to, you know. I think our attorneys, the attorneys, it really fall back on our attorneys. They didn't really do everything, I don't think, because they wanted money. It's all about money with these lawyers. It's all about money, man. If you ain't got no money, then you're going to get you a PD and they really going to truck you. So, it was just, I don't know, man.
So, do you go to trial or do you take a deal?
I took a deal because my co-defendant went to trial. Well, we severed our cases because my crime, they offered us a package deal. They offered them 11, they offered me 16. But my crime, nobody pointed my crime out. So he felt like he could beat it. So he didn't want to take the 11 because he felt like he could beat the case. So I just said, okay, well, we came in together, we gonna lead together, bro, but we finna sever this case. You going to trial first. I'm gonna see what they do with you. And that's gonna determine what I'm gonna do. They found him guilty of first degree. I was like, okay, so yes, and now they coming to me like, this is what they gonna do for you. You looking at 2 life sentences. If you get found guilty, you got a life for every attempted murder and life for the murder. Or they can just offer you this 15 year to life, youth authority. I mean, I could try to get you the youth authority, whatever it may be. And we just do it like that. I was like, shit. And they told me that I would do 12 years. That just came out the attorney's mouth. So I'm like, okay. And I'm young. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And I took the deal, got a psych eval for youth authority. They granted me to go. As soon as I get to court to get sentenced, the DA was like, oh, no, we ain't never talked about this. And the lawyer and the judge was like, and if I had to rule on this, I would deny this. So I ended up going straight to prison.
So where do you think it got mixed up where your lawyer's saying YA and they're saying
I don't know, and that's the thing, I don't know. I don't know where the mix-up came in at. I just know that she told me one thing and they saying another now. After all the stuff we did, the evaluation, we did all that. So I ended up going to prison, man.
And what kind of, they gave you, what was the deal they ended up giving you?
15 years of life.
Okay.
I did almost 30 years.
Now, why did you do so much time? You must be getting denied at board multiple times.
I went to the board 10 times. My nine times I got denied. The 10th time they gave me a day, but because I was denied it's because of like confidential information from other people about me doing this, doing that. I went to the hole a few times. One for a riot. I went to the hole for cell phones. I mean, you know, just getting caught up in the activity of of the worldly things of the yard. You know what I'm saying? We just do the stuff we do. They politic, they do everything, and people drop kites on you and not realizing it, man. I didn't know I had a lot of kites on me until I went to board. And they read them kites to me like, did you do this? Did you do that? I say, no, man, no. Where these kites coming from? But now I'm in denial, so they deny me.
Okay.
And I went to the board. My first one, I was fresh out the hole. I went to the board. They gave me a 2-year denial before the martial law even came in. They gave me two 2-year denials, and then everything else was threes. When the martial law came in, it was threes. So my 10th time, I got blessed with a date.
So explain to those that are watching this from around the world who don't know what a kite is, dropping a kite.
A kite is somebody dropping confidential information on you that you doing this, like drug selling. Oh man, we observed, it's a dude over here in bunk such and such over here. He got a gang of weed over here. He be selling weed over here, or he got a gang of phones over here, or this dude over here sent somebody over here to bust on somebody, or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't gonna know who it is because once it's in your C file, they ain't gonna let you go in your confidential information part of your C file to see what it is. You ain't gonna never know.
And these are coming from other prisoners.
Other prisoners, gang members,
Yeah.
whether it be Mexicans, blacks, it don't matter.
Yeah, it's wild, huh?
Yeah, it's politics. That's a whole unnatural world over there, man.
What surprised you the most? Okay, what year did you get to reception?
91, I think 91, 92, something like that.
And that must have been an eye-opener, your first time.
Reception ain't real. You in your cell majority of the time. You in the cell, so you ain't coming out unless you get about an hour, maybe an hour to a yard, but you ain't coming out. But when I got the Folsom, it was eye-opener. It was very eye-opener.
Can you physically draw us a picture of what Folsom looked like?
Folsom looked like a big old castle, old Folsom. I was a new Folsom first, then I came to old Folsom. But old Folsom looked like a big old castle. Once you walk in, go through R&R and you hit that 2 building, it's like 5 tiers. You look up, it's 5 tiers, man. And I think each tier has about, I want to say, damn, how many cells is it? It's over 20, over 25. And they looking at you. You just like, damn, I'm coming in with my stuff and they just looking at you. It's a big old prison, a lot of blind spots. So gotta be careful.
The first people that you tapped in that was from the neighborhood were some of the first homies that you saw that laced you.
Really Moody, my boy Moody. I seen Eric Hatchett. He came and hollered at me. But the first dudes that came and blessed me was dudes I deemed my enemies, dudes from A-Tray Gangsters. My boy Robert Stewart, he looked out for me. He gave me because the homies couldn't get to me, he put some stuff together and just gave it to me, man. I'm like, what?
Was he an older guy?
He was older at the time.
What
Older than me.
Was he from the generation before the war?
He was in the generation during the war. He was before and during the war.
Okay.
But he was cool. You know, when you go to jail, you a Crip, you a Crip. They ain't on that where you from and the homies is beefing with y'all. No, you a Crip, you a Crip. So that's just where it was at with that one. It's a lot of people, like, you got a lot of politics there, like prison gangs that's there, but that comes, I guess that's just something they do.
Now, you mentioned board. Talk about how the board operates. For a lot of people, they don't realize they want you to take full accountability. They want you to reflect and be as sincere, as open, if you want any action at the board, right?
The board wants you to have insight into your past. They want you to have insight into your crime, your past history growing up. They want to know, why did you start gangbanging? Do you know the ripple effect of your own actions when it comes to you gangbanging and your crime? And who does it affect? You got secondary and you got primary victims. They want you to recognize that, you know, your primary victims is the person you killed. You know what I'm saying? The secondary victims are like the family, the first respondent, the people that was around. You know what I'm saying? Those are the secondary victims. And like say if I go to board and them reading my C file about my crime, it affect the board. So they're secondary. You know what I'm saying? So you have to recognize who they are and the ripple effect that took place, who was affected in your actions. They want you to really just admit to it, like, man, did you do it? Yes. Okay, why did you do it? And you have to really explain why you did that. Even if you didn't do it, they want you to fall on that sword, man. So yeah, the board is kind of because you got a commission. You got 3 commissioners. You got one that reads your C file. You got one that does your parole plans, and you got another one that does your 115s and your write-ups and stuff. So each one of them got a chance to pop at you with some stuff, and you're gonna have to answer, and you're gonna have to be able to answer.
Do you get these same 3 people when you come back 3 years from now, 2 years from now? No.
Get different ones, man.
Now, do you know anyone who's had to admit to something that they had nothing to do with at board just so they can come home?
Yeah.
And what's the story on that, if you have any?
We know that he didn't do it, and he just felt he been down so long. I mean, I had a talk with him before too. I said, hey, bro, you might just have to go on and fall on the sword with this one, because they just want a person, if they just want you to take responsibility. Now you can say, you can understand how your actions could have caused this to happen even if you wasn't there. But they want to know that you did. That's all they want to hear, man. And they want you to have some insight to it. This is what these groups is for, bro. So that's what I used to tell him. I said, just fall on the sword, man. I think you might just have to just admit to something you didn't do, bro. And he was like, man, but then he did, and he out.
Who's that?
Oh boy, I ain't gonna put his name out there, but yeah, he's just my boy, man. It's my boy. He just got out.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he just got out, and I'm happy for him because he out here living, man. He see that rather be out here than in there, man.
Now, I interviewed Big Whack from Fruittown, Peru that did a stretch like you. I think he did about 30, and he said that he learned the board wanted to just know everything. And he ended up having a class where he was telling other prisoners, look, you're going to board, I'm going to teach you how to do it. And it's all about just accountability. I guess whether or not you're innocent or guilty, they just want to hear accountability.
Because guess what? We was a product of our environment. We tore our community up so much that we're just as responsible as the person that actually did a crime. We're responsible because we was out here tearing the community up, doing the things we was doing. You know what I'm saying? So that makes us responsible too. So, you know, when they say, oh, you 60 niggas, or you whoop-de-whoop-whoop, yeah, you're talking about all of us in one. Because, yeah, we're responsible for tearing it up. So these classes that he was talking about, probably talking about anger management, family relations, the SAP substance abuse, you're talking about criminal and gang members anonymous, you're talking about all these little groups that we have to take just to really have a full insight into our own selves and what we've done and where we at today, you know, and that's what I went through. I had to go through classes. I went through classes, man, and it helped me, it built me.
So if you're in a race riot, which has nothing to do with you, you're not to blame for it, and you participate in that, does the board hold that against you? And is there any way of explaining that to the board to say, look, this is a racial institution, and I have to protect myself, and when these Southsiders or whatever, whoever, come at us, what do you want us to do, board? Get stabbed up and die?
You can't tell them none of that. They want to know, was you involved? Yes. Why? Because I had to defend myself. Because they're gonna say, well, why come you didn't run? Why come you didn't run? They ask you stuff like that. But then you got to be like, man, what you mean how come I run? Man, I'm not trying to get hurt.
Do you think that they are ignorant of how life in prison is, or they just don't give a fuck?
No, because a lot of them commissioners used to be a part of the goon squad, which is like the gang stuff. They used to be a part of like captain of the goon squad or captain of the. They know what's going on that yard. They know.
If you run, that's almost a death sentence with your own homies.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I told them, man, that's how you get hurt. I'm not doing no running. That's how you get hurt, man.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
All right. Well, lastly, I want to talk about some of the stuff that you're trying to get involved in. Doing this damn near 3 decades of prison time, you definitely have a story, especially for the youth, to hear.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you would wish doing 30 years on anybody.
Nobody.
And it's something that you had to endure. So what is it that you're trying to get involved with now?
Well, I got this group that I'm trying to, this organize LLC that I'm trying to do called Step Towards Change, and this for really working on juvenile reform right now, talking to the kids. I done been to the academy so far through one of my partners that's a sheriff, took me up to Biscayne to talk to these kids about the gang lifestyle, giving them my story, hoping, I can catch to it. If you can, out of 10 people, you can catch 1 or 2 people, you doing something good. You don't expect to catch everybody there, that's the goal, but if you can catch 2 or 3 people, me 1 or 2, then I know I'm doing something right. So Step Towards Change is about juvenile reform and prison reform too, because I do want to go back into the prisons and talk to people in prison too. I would love to do that. I talked to a few people about that already, and it's just about changing lives, like what I do today. I work for this group called Urban Alchemy. We do safety and service. We try to help the community get them housed, those that are unhoused. We try to get them housed into a shelter program. And to me, that's living amends. You know what I mean? Because I feel like what I do, I don't look for nothing back in return. I just do it because this is what my passion, this is what I want to do. Because I want to help people, and I told that to the board. So I'm in a position where I can help people through the help of my job. I can help the homeless, you know what I'm saying? Give them food, water, even shelter. So that's what I'm doing. But I am pushing my LLC, Step Towards Change. I have a partner in Ronchelle Mack, who's been doing everything for me as far as the cars, the little videos and stuff. Just putting everything together for me and trying to get these grants if I can. That's our mission. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a movie about my Uncle Raymond called The Birth of a Crip. We're in the stage of trying to sell it now. So to see what network would take it. But right now that Hollywood's striking right now, so it's kind of hard. I don't know how long they're gonna be striking, but that's what they're doing. But we ready. We've been ready. We got everything we need. We did everything. We did the interviews. We did everything. So I'm just trying to stay relevant, man, and stay productive, and and if I could talk to these kids, if you can guide me somewhere I can talk to these kids, man, I appreciate it, because that's what I want to do. That's my aim. I want to start with these kids because I feel like they could be saved.
Now the CDC is open for people like yourself to come back and speak, right? How difficult is it to go through the paperwork, the process of that?
Well, I just did it for juvenile hall. I put in the application through my homie Spike, baby Spike from A-Trey. I put in the application. I'm just waiting to see if they're going to accept it. But you have to be off parole to get up in these prisons, or even in juvenile hall. I think you have to be off parole. So that's the main thing, because you got to give them a reason. You got to have them trust you enough to go in there and talk to these people, man. Because we ex-inmates, we ex-convicts. So I would think. So it's just about getting off parole, and then from there, just trying to move on and see what we can do to get in there.
Now, in the Raymond Washington film that you're working on, can you tell me something that you learned about your uncle in this process that you didn't know?
Yeah, man, my uncle was he He was there to protect his community as a young kid. That was his whole focus, to protect the community from racism, from all the stuff that they was going through back in the 60s or late 60s going into the 70s. You know what I'm saying? I already knew that he was a good person. I already knew that Raymond had a good heart. You know what I'm saying? And I understand Raymond loved hard. I knew that. Because my daddy, just from his siblings, they love hard. All his brothers, they loved hard. Even my aunties on my dad's side, on my grandfather's side, they love hard. It's my whole family, period. So it's just like, I think Raymond was just one of them persons that was really loyal. He was loyal. And, you know, I just know that we looking at Raymond as the person, not the gang member, the Crip. The movie is about him as a person and his movement and what he was trying to do to make things right in his community. We're not even tripping off the Crip thing with him, even though that's in there, but look at Raymond as the person with a good heart that was trying to change things in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? So that's it.
All right, lastly I wanted to ask, when you got out, what was the biggest shock or difficult thing to adapt to or change that you witnessed being free after doing all that time?
That I wanted to change?
No, it's just being out in the free world. What surprised you about the free world now?
That I can breathe different air coming out that prison. I'm breathing a whole different breed of air to my body. And you know, the only thing that I had to adjust to getting out is people so close to you that you rubbing elbows. People bump into you and just walk past you and then nobody say excuse you. In prison, you ain't finna bump into nobody like that and then you think you're gonna get away with it. Yeah. So it's just like stuff like that. And I walk into my house, coming home, I feel like my head is hitting the ceiling. I'm tall. Like, damn, man, when I was a kid, look, man, I could touch my ceiling now, like.
So you came back to the same house?
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, so it's just like, damn. But a lot of stuff changed as far as the area. It looks different. It looks very different.
What's it like in relationships with women? Because you're in prison in a mostly male place. Now you have access to women. And you haven't been able to socialize with women at all until, what's that like?
Shit, I was married in prison. I was getting visits. I was married, so I had one female coming to see me for damn near 20 years, and 25 really, and but it was off and on. But we was married too, so I had conjugal visits with her too. At the end, when they gave them back, because they took our family visits in '98. They took our conjugals in '98. The year that they took the weights from us was the year they took our family visits.
I think they took the weights
in
'96.
Okay, so they took our family visits right after that. And it was crazy because people go in that visiting room and try to bone their girl behind the vending machine, all type of stuff, man. It was crazy, man, but lifers. You know, the lifers, they took ours, but they gave them back to us in like 17. I got my family visit. We ended up getting divorced though, but she was cool. And be hard, man. You know, a lot of them do some unnatural environment behind them walls, man. You got gay stuff goes on, all type of stuff, man. So you just gotta be careful, man, who you deal with up in there, man. And you gotta really know who you messing with up in there, because you'll never know. You'll never know.
Did you have any kids through those conjugal visits?
No, I don't have no kids now. I feel like I do. I got 14 nieces and nephews.
All right. Last words from Ron before we wrap this up, man. What would you like to tell the people?
That Ron, I'm just saying, man, for those that are incarcerated, work hard towards getting out with them life sentences, man. Take them groups, man. Them groups is there for y'all, man. And try to build on it, man. Get you some, you can build your insight up, man. And show the world that you can get out here and make that difference, man. Because that's what I'm trying to do, man. Because I'm out here with a whole nother agenda, man. And you know, just check out my movie. The movie, we got this movie. I know a lot of people asking about this movie. We got it, trying to pitch it right now. I got a book coming out in his own words. That's gonna come out too. It's like I turned my journal, because I used to journal in prison. I turned them into memoirs. So I got that coming out too. So I got a lot of stuff going on. My cousin Raymond, Raymond's son, he got some books that he's trying to push out too. We trying to push them out together, because you know we're a team. Oh, and another thing, for the people out there, man, they got they people in the grave sites over there off the 91. What's that? Is that Lincoln Memorial?
Yeah, Lincoln Park Memorial.
Man, that's where Raymond is buried. So we trying to figure out what they trying to do. I don't know what they doing. There's some foul stuff going on, and we need to really start going to them city councilmen's meetings over there. I couldn't be able to go because I work, but my little cousin Ray Shauna, she been going faithfully. I love you, Ray, and we just need to try to figure out what they're gonna do with them people in there, man, because I don't think it's right if they trying to build something over it or whatever they trying to do, that's foul. So we need to, for those that got family members in there, man, y'all might want to check that out and see what's going on, because we got my Uncle Raymond in there, and amongst, I got other family members in there too. That's on that line, that's really, so other than that, peace and love, man. Peace and love, man.
And also, you have another interview you did with Kev Mack. For those who want to get some more, this was a different kind of interview, so I didn't want to do something like that. Kev Mack already covered that, so people could tap in with Kev Mack. And you gave a couple of really cool conversations when you was on the panel with Skip Townsend, with a brother from IFG that you was in the penitentiary with.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a real good example of showing people from two other sides of the tracks coming together. So I want people to tap in with the Skip Townsend interview. Was there any other interview you've done that people could tap in with?
Those were the only ones I did. Kev Mack, the story of Big Ron. I did one. I did a couple with Munchie B and Bandit from Inglewood Family with Skip. I did one with Spider. You know, I did one with Spider, you know, and I'm doing this with you. So I just want to get it out there, what I'm pushing, what my strive is, and know that I'm not on that. You know, I'm just on some real creative stuff, trying to, you know, just make a difference out here, man. You know, because we are who we are from the streets, man. We are gang. You know, I'm who I am. You know, I'm formally, but I'm just saying, people see you for who you are, but let people see the change in you. You gotta let people see the change in you, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. You can still love your neighborhood, but you can also do something different up in there too, make a difference up in there by doing something different, man. And that's just how I get in. I love my neighborhood, don't get me wrong. I love the people over there, I grew up with them, but at the end of the day, I gotta love myself. You know, and loving myself is changing and doing the things I need to do to be better and try to make somebody else better. You know, so whatever I got to give, I'ma give. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, I'ma give it. That's just out of love, you know? Whether you're a Crip blood, I don't care where you from, man. If you want it, I got it. I give it, man. It's, you know, I'm gonna do a podcast with my brother-in-law up north, Marcel, and my sister Shari. I'll keep you posted on that. I'm gonna do one with her, because she's gonna try to open some doors for me up there to talk to some people up there in the Sacramento area.
All right, well, I wanna thank you for coming through. And anytime you need a platform to put your message out there, you know, call me anytime. I appreciate you.
All right, all the time, man.
All right, and that's a wrap.